Chapter 14. Bad Run, Right Call. Emerson sat at the table in the common room with Herman, Mouch, and Otis, watching as Gabby poured herself a cup of coffee. The paramedic couldn't help but notice her former partner grabbing the regular coffee and stopping herself before she could pour it. Gabby glanced around, not noticing Emerson watching as she proceeded to switch to the decaffeinated pot. Emerson bit back a gasp, knowing that there was something going on for her to do so. She obviously wasn't going to say anything, so luckily for her, Herman spoke up. "How's Casey doing?" "We're worried about him," he asked, rubbing his face with his hands as Gabby turned towards him. Casey had gotten into trouble with Jack Nesbitt, and it was safe to say that it was a lot to take in for him. He's dealing with, I don't know, we haven't talked," she admitted, resting her hip against the counter as she sighed. "Do we bring it up if he doesn't?" Otis asked, looking between his fellow firefighters. "Maybe best to just ignore the subject altogether," Herman suggested, glancing at Gabby. "Better make up your mind. Here he comes." Mouch pointed out, gesturing to the door where Casey was coming from. "Guys, relax," he said, noticing everyone tense up in their seats. Emerson sat up straight, relaxing a little when Matt spoke up first. "We're just glad that you're all in one piece, that's all." Herman told his lieutenant, one hand on his knee and the other resting on the table. "Let's just get one thing straight right off the bat. I'm fine. It was a rough couple of days, but I'm here just like the rest of you to work. Understood?" They all mumbled agreements, nodding their heads. "Copy." "Where the hell is our new candidate?" Matt questioned, looking towards the apparatus floor. Emerson looked the same way out of reflex as Herman shrugged. "Candidate's late on his first day?" Otis laughed in disbelief. "Now that takes gumption," Mouch added. "The important thing is, Dawson isn't candidate anymore," Matt said, smiling at Gabby as he offered her his hand to shake. "Congratulations, firefighter." "Way to go, Gabby," Emerson cheered, happy for her friend. "Ah, no leash on the pit bull anymore. Bring on the fires," Herman teased. "Yeah, bring 'em on," Gabby answered, accepting everyone's words, but Emerson could tell something was off. She seemed hesitant, and that was unlike her. Gabby was usually one to run in head first, no matter the obstacle. So what could possibly be holding her back? Chili walked into the common room, sitting next to Emerson. "Hey, did you guys hear about Severide?" They all stared at her with a look resembling a deer caught in headlights, just waiting for her to explain. "Captain Patterson took over his lieutenant's spot. He's been downgraded back to regular firefighter." The entirety of Truck 81 and Ambulance 61 rushed out to the apparatus floor, walking up to Severide. "Hey, I just heard. You okay?" Matt asked as the rest of them stood behind. "Never better," Severide sarcastically answered, shrugging as he leaned against the squad truck. "I don't know what to say. There's nothing to say. It's nuts." Their attention was pulled away from the lieutenants as they heard tires screeching in the street, the noise coming towards them. They all headed towards the opened garage door as the car stopped out front. Two grown men stepped out of the vehicle wearing CFD shirts as they loudly cheered and laughed. Emerson frowned, wondering what they could possibly be doing. "What the hell's going on?" Matt questioned as one of the guys looked at them. "Got a special delivery for you." He popped open the trunk, fresh from the CFD store. There was a guy lying in the trunk of the car. He was covered with tape and had writing all over his forehead, most likely from a black permanent marker, although Emerson did hope that it wasn't permanent for him. "Come on, buddy." The guy grunted, grabbing him and putting him down on the ground. "Good luck with the new candidate, fellas," the tall guy continued, seeming proud of himself as his friend shut the trunk. They turned away laughing before getting back inside the car and leaving the premises. The guy on the ground struggled as he tried to free himself, but he'd been tied up too tight. They approached him slowly, and Emerson could tell the new guy wasn't happy with the outcome of his first day. "And the Moron of the Year award goes to..." Herman trailed off, while Mouch walked up to the younger firefighter and tugged off the tape covering his mouth. He grunted in pain and then gasped for air as he'd been unable to breathe through his mouth for at least half an hour. "What a show, huh?" The man spoke up as the chief appeared next to Matt. "It's not my idea. Danny, he's a real piece of work." Otis and Mouch helped him up as the rest of them observed from afar. Once he was up, Emerson was able to really observe him. She had to admit that as stupid as he looked at the moment, he was really attractive, and just her type too. He was tall with broad shoulders and brown hair. Sure, the stupidity and frat boy look he currently wore wasn't really her cup of tea, but she'd give him the benefit of the doubt. "Chief?" Matt started, glancing at the chief as he gestured to the boy in front of them. "Meet our new candidate, Jimmy Borelli." "Oh, Chief," Jimmy said, realizing that his new chief saw him in that state. He was hoping he'd get away with it without being seen by the chief, at least. "I was just telling them that, you know." He stopped talking, figuring it was doing him any good. "You been drinking?" Emerson grabbed a pair of scissors before walking up to Herman and standing near him to listen to the conversation. Jimmy shook his head. "No, sir, on my honor, I haven't touched a drop." Chief hummed, smelling the beer all over him. "Danny was pouring beer on me in the back. I told him, though, not to," Jimmy explained with a smile on his face, which Emerson figured could be his first strike. Chief faked a chuckle, only staring at the man in silence after. The smile was wiped off Jimmy's face quickly. "Go home, Borelli, and don't come back to 51. "Sir?" Jimmy mumbled, surprised by the chief's reaction. Matt also just walked off, Otis and Herman following closely behind. Emerson walked up to him with a tight-lipped smile. "Let me help you," she stated, gesturing to the scissors in her hands. "I'm Emerson." She introduced herself, figuring that if she was going to touch his very naked skin, she could at least introduce herself. He let out a puff of air through his nose, smiling at her as she started cutting through all the tape and bubble wrapper he was caught in. She didn't get to do much, though, before the alarm blared through the firehouse. "Ambulance 61, female in distress, Racine L Station." Emerson looked back at Mouch, who nodded at her and grabbed his pocket knife. "All right, good luck, Borelli. You're in good hands." She winked, tapping Mouch on the shoulder as she rushed to the ambulance with Chili. The two paramedics were guided inside by an officer who helped them roll the gurney towards the person in distress. "Armed robbery on the L. Poor kid got the crossfire," he explained, leading them to her. They lowered the gurney next to the woman who was lying down on her back, very obviously pregnant. "What's your name, hon?" Chili asked as both paramedics bent down next to her. "Alicia. See an entry wound right up her chest," Emerson informed her partner, feeling her shoulder blade. "I don't see an exit." "This is going to help you breathe," Chili said, grabbing the O2 mask and getting ready to put it on her. The woman gripped Emerson's arm, catching her attention as the paramedic cleaned her wound. "The baby," Alicia exclaimed. "It's a boy." Emerson nodded at the woman, sending her a smile as Chili put the mask on her. The paramedics did what they had to do before evacuating her out of the station. "He's going to be okay, right?" The patient made sure, worried about her baby boy. "We'll make sure," Emerson assured her with her lips curved up. As they settled her inside the ambulance, the woman's cries got louder and louder as she spoke to Chili, who sat next to her. "Weller, call Med. Her contractions are coming in fast. This baby's on its way." Emerson nodded, shutting the door as she grabbed her phone to call the hospital right away. "Chicago Med, this is 61. Our pregnant woman with a GSW is about to deliver. We're 6 minutes out." She was cut off by the woman yelling out that the baby was pressing, asking how she could keep him in. "Weller, she's crowning. I can see him," Chili said before Emerson could shut the second door. Emerson was about to shut the door before she opened it again, deep in thoughts. She shook her head at Chili. "We're too far out from Med. Let's deliver here." "Okay, call it in." Emerson grabbed her radio, opening the door back up. 61 to Maine, we're delivering on scene. Request additional ambulance at Loomis and Congress. Chili sat at the woman's seat as Emerson sat by her side. "We're going to take good care of you, Alicia. We promise." A few minutes passed, the paramedics kept encouraging the woman to push as they got ready to deliver her babies. Alicia pushed, her hand squeezing Emerson's thigh while the paramedic's hand applied pressure on the woman's shoulder where she'd been shot. "Come on, Alicia. You can do this. Just one more nice, strong push, okay?" Emerson encouraged her, the woman screaming out as she pushed once more. Chili announced that the baby was out, but there was absolutely no sounds in the ambulance apart from the woman's heavy breathing. Wait, why isn't he making any noise? The woman asked, her voice quivering in fear. She knew it wasn't normal that her baby wasn't making any noise, and to see Emerson started grabbing things in a hurry didn't help. Come on, breathe. Emerson muttered under her breath as she grabbed everything they needed to help the baby while Chili started bagging him. Emerson took over while Chili grabbed the baby in her hands and started doing compressions. I got a pulse. It's bradycardic, but it's there. Emerson called to Chili before cutting the umbilical cord. The second ambulance got there at the same time, ready to help. What do we got? Neonate, mother's a GSW in shock, Chili said, handing the baby over to the second team of paramedics. We got it. We'll take it from here. As the paramedics walked away with the baby, the monitor started beeping, making Emerson quickly turn to the mother. She's coding, she exclaimed, moving straight into chest compressions. It's not working, she stated after a while. Okay, you drive, I'll get an airway going, Chili said, switching places with her partner. Emerson quickly got out and went to the driver's seat. She heard her partner's defeated cries as it dawned on her that the woman wasn't coming back. Chili sat back with tears in her eyes, shaking her head at Emerson to let her know that they'd just lost the mother. The two paramedics walked back into the firehouse with bloodshot eyes and slumped shoulders. They didn't even say a word to each other ever since they lost the mother. Not that there was much to say anyway. Whoa, Kelly called out, stopping them in their tracks. You guys all right? Chili sent Emerson a look, who spoke first. Just a bad run. Young mom got shot by a stray bullet, but she didn't make it. We delivered her baby, but we have no idea if he's going to make it either. Chili explained further, feeling the need to talk about it now more than ever. Little guy had cute little tiny fingers, like he was supposed to play piano or something. She paused, not noticing the look Severide and Emerson shared. Stuff happens. So what can you do, right? Chili walked off afterwards, but Emerson wrapped her arm around her partner and walked away with her. She figured her partner shouldn't be alone. Chili was taking it hard, so she'd have to be there for her. I mean, we made the right call, didn't we? Chili questioned as they turned the corner, getting out of Emerson's grip to face her. Emerson sighed. We never would have made it to Med in time. It was the right call. She assured her partner, hugging her tightly as she wished she could say it for sure. Emerson and Chili were sitting across from each other at Molly's, drinking beer and unwinding for the long shift they just had. The blonde sighed heavily, dropping her hands on the table. I need to know if that baby survived, Chili. We just got to keep assuming that he's okay, Chili answered, as she didn't really want to believe otherwise. Hey, it is possible that he's totally fine. You really believe that? Emerson asked, her tone flat. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. They stared at each other for a few seconds, unsure what else to say, before Chili lowered her tone. Not knowing makes it possible. Chili sighed and stood up, telling her that she was going to get them another round. In reality, she spotted Dr. Halstead sitting at the bar, so she approached him, asking for a favor. And then before they knew it, we'll lead them to the nursery, pointing them in the direction of the baby they delivered. He was alive and healthy, at least as healthy as he could be. They hugged each other, their eyes focused on the baby in front of them as they sighed in relief. Will stood back, watching them with a smile on his face, glad he could put a little light in their heavy day.